We're in Joburg in the middle of nowhere, Ityanya, Eastern Cape, to review a bakkie. In a country that is full of people that love their bakkies, we're here to have a look at another one. One that doesn't often feature in their radar or doesn't get much searches on online searches. Even if we are Tetanga, people don't really think much of it. Today, we're having a look at the Mitsubishi Triton in this bright orange. This one, the Shogun edition. In terms of looks, it is quite impressive, and it's something that iyajongisa because the Shogun edition has got touches that are quite exclusive to it, like these fitted tail light covers, this beautiful tonneau cover. I love a tonneau cover as opposed to a roller shutter. This here, steel sports bar with the Shogun engraved. You're getting 18-inch mags for street cred. Black door handles, black mirror covers, roof rails. And the ride height is 220 millimeters, which means you can get over most stuff. And as you move to the front here, the bright orange is phenomenal. This front end reminds me of a movie I watched a while ago while I was growing up with the now Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger called Predator. Look at it. Think it, take a moment. In a good way though. It does look very good. Quite bold, which is what South Africans want. The steering itself, stitched nicely, leather, multifunction. There's not a host too much of buttons, everything's crystal clear. Analog dials over there. Move to the center console. I like the glossy touches, I like the plastics. Everything seems pretty basic, but it's functional. Then you get Mitsubishi's Super Select four-wheel drive system down here. I love this gated gear lever. It reminds me of the good old days when you were not sure which pattern the automatic systems works. This gave you the direction. You're getting good leather, perforated, nicely stitched. Overall, quite a decent place to be in. They've done it quite well. There's nothing over and above about it, but I'm quite happy with my amenities. What I need is there, placed correctly. I can reach. The steering can be adjusted. Telescopic and reach. That I love. We're happy. Up front, you're getting a 2.4-liter common rail diesel engine, mated to a 6-speed automatic gearbox with these flappy pedals here. How it tows is beautiful because it's sitting at 3.1 tons towing capacity. 400 newton meters for me is enough of a figure for a bakkie in any form. The ride quality is sublime. You don't feel like you're riding on left springs. They've done it nicely where there's a balance between the nice thick rubber on the tires or the suspension is solidly good. What is noteworthy in this car, this is something that I haven't noticed in a lot of bakkies, is the refinement element, which is something very rare in bakkies in South Africa. Ithule ngaphakathi, awuva bawuhamba ngevan, which is quite something that I quite like about it. There's no real bumping or bouncy. The steering, sort of aloof, it's direct. I can feel exactly what it's doing. Personally, I quite like this. I actually think it's something that I'd highly recommend. Pricing for it is also very impressive. One of the prime benefits of freedom is choice. When you've got choice, why then would you limit yourself? Because you've got choice. In a country that's got so many brands, you guys are only focusing on 3. One of them should be this Mitsubishi here, the Triton. Personally, I was impressed with the ride quality, the engine, and just it looks. The way it looks is just out there. And most importantly, it does what it needs to do. So it gets my vote. Put it in your list of cars to have a look at.
Welcome back to Ignition GT. Before the break, Wezile gave us his impressions of the Mitsubishi Triton Shogun. And now it's time for our guests to have their say. Let's start with you, Brenwan. We spoke about it briefly earlier on. I'm always surprised when I drive the Triton every couple of years how good it actually is.
Very underrated. I remember driving it at launch in 2017. Had a really ugly face at the time. It kind of looked like the Tekken character Yoshimitsu.
Oh, I remember.
I called it a Yoshi Mitsubishi.
Yeah. Clever.
But look, the substance was always great. I mean, it was a lovely bakkie to drive. Excellent four-wheel drive system, as my colleague pointed out when you were chatting off air. And then when they released this facelift, so much more attractive, more streamlined. It had that dynamic shield design that they're always going on about. So I think it's had a good run, maybe not commercially in terms of the numbers, but those who know. Mitsubishi buyers are quite loyal and they just love those core values that the brand offers.
Let's talk about those interiors. Let's talk about Mitsubishi's four-wheel drive system, the good and the bad.
So let's do the bad first. So Triton has not had it its own way in South Africa. If you have a look at what the Australians do, the Triton is, I think they call it an L200, is immensely strong in Australia. Some months it'll outsell everyone else. So technically, it's Japanese, it's properly reliable, they really are good to drive. More on the good side, the interior is still a Japanese interior, but the quality is good. The four-wheel drive system, the Super Select 2 system, as a standard four-wheel drive system, I would stick my neck out and say will outperform any other standard system. So maybe, back on the bad side, this Triton has probably not been given its best opportunity because Mitsubishi for a few years, their after sales was not fantastic and their parts were immensely expensive. That has changed, but there's a new one on the way soon. So this car is good. It did deserve to have a better run at it. Maybe when the new model comes out, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. For your money, Brenwan, are you going to wait for the new one? Are you going to buy the existing Shogun? Or are you going to get in a little bit lower? Because when you look at the pricing of the Mitsubishi bakkie range, it's very competitive.
It is, although I do think the Shogun is a bit on the higher side of things, especially considering this bakkie's age. It's a good product, but it's a bit old. So I think, if you are that savvy kind of shopper, go and see if you can find a demo or something with a little bit of mileage on and have a word with that dealership. Because I think you'd be able to get one hell of a discount.
Yeah. Staniforth, from your perspective, for your money, what are you looking at buying at the top end and the bottom end?
So the LS, which was the entry-level bakkie, was really, really good to drive. It was a 5-speed manual. It was a 5-speed. It was a 5-speed manual with fabric seats. You could easily get it into the 6 liters per 100, really easily. It came on normal wheels, and when I say normal wheels, I think it was a mag, but it was a 16-inch wheel. Okay, so the LS was on that, and I think an LS's standard price, list price, is just around the 400 mark. So that's a hell of a lot of car. Same engine. Manual gearbox. So I do think the Shogun spec in the 800 mark.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. In the 800 mark, I'm probably going to go knock on Ford's door. However, there is a case to be made for Triton that's not as popular as it could have been in terms of theft and risk and insurance costs. It's not going to be a risky vehicle at all.
Yeah, and that's what you're looking for in a bakkie.